Mechanic fixes single mom's car for free, unaware her son would become his business partner decades later. Such is the mysterious poetry of kindness, writing verses of connection long before we understand their meaning. Ray Donovan wiped grease-stained hands on his faded blue coveralls, squinting against the harsh fluorescent lights of his small auto repair shop. 38 years old with calloused hands and creases around his eyes that deepened when he smiled, which wasn't often these days. The Donovan's Auto sign outside flickered intermittently, much like Ray's faith in second chances. December in Portland brought a particular kind of cold that seeped through walls and windows, chilling bones and spirits alike. Ray's shop stood as a lone rectangle of light amid a row of darkened storefronts, the economic downturn of 2008 having claimed 3 neighboring businesses in the past year alone. His own survival hung by a thread as thin as the invoice stack on his desk was thick, mostly unpaid. He glanced at the clock. 8:47 p.m. Nearly 2 hours past closing time, but the Chevy's transmission wouldn't fix itself, and Mr. Henderson needed his delivery vehicle by morning. One more unpaid overtime evening in a string of many. The knock came soft at first, then more insistent. Ray looked up, irritation flickering across his face. Through the glass door, partially obscured by a faded open sign he'd forgotten to flip, stood a woman. Her shoulders hunched against the December chill, one arm wrapped protectively around a boy who couldn't have been more than 10. "We're closed," Ray called, not moving from beneath the raised hood. The woman knocked again, desperation evident in the rapid staccato of her knuckles against glass. Something in that sound, the particular pitch of need, made Ray straighten, wiping his hands again before crossing to the door. "I'm sorry," she said immediately as he opened it, cold air rushing in. "I know you're closed, but our car—" She gestured toward the parking lot where an ancient Toyota Corolla sat at an odd angle, steam still rising from its hood despite the freezing temperature. "It just died, and we're already late getting home. And my son has school tomorrow, and I have work, and—" She stopped, pressing her lips together, visibly fighting tears. The boy beside her looked up, his face a mixture of worry and something else, a solemn protectiveness toward his mother that seemed too mature for his young features. "It's making a terrible grinding noise and then just stopped," she finished. "I managed to get it here, but—" Ray's gaze drifted from her face, tired, pretty in a way that spoke of beauty overshadowed by exhaustion, to her hands. No rings, chapped skin, nails cut practical and short. To the boy wearing a coat slightly too small, his dark eyes watchful, intelligent. "I can pay," she added quickly, though something in her voice suggested otherwise. "Maybe not all at once, but bring it in," Ray heard himself say, surprising himself as much as her. "Let me take a look." Relief washed over her face. "Thank you. I'm Lisa Mercer. This is my son, Theo." The boy nodded solemnly, extending a small hand. "Thank you, sir." Ray's calloused fingers engulfed the boys in a handshake. Ray Donovan. 20 minutes later, Ray delivered the verdict while Lisa sat on the shop's lone plastic chair, Theo examining the tools on Ray's workbench with careful, curious hands. Timing belt's gone. Took out a valve when it went. Looking at about $800, give or take. He watched the color drain from Lisa's face, her hands tightening on her purse. $800? She whispered, then straightened her shoulders. "I can put some on my credit card, and maybe if you'd let me pay the rest in installments." "Mom," Theo interrupted, his voice small but clear. "What about the rent money?" The silence that followed was heavy, charged with the particular weight of adult problems witnessed through a child's eyes. Lisa shot her son a look, not angry, but pained, before turning back to Ray. "I'll figure it out," she said, voice firm despite the slight tremble in her hands. "We need the car." Ray looked at the Corolla, then at Lisa, then at Theo, who had moved to stand protectively beside his mother, one small hand resting on her shoulder. The boy's eyes met Ray's, not pleading, but watching, absorbing, understanding far too much. In that moment, Ray saw himself at that age. The constant moves after his father left. His mother working double shifts, coming home with that same bone-deep exhaustion that now lined Lisa's face. The apartment evictions, the nights in the car. "Let me see what I can do," Ray said finally, turning back to the Toyota. "Might have some parts I can salvage." He worked through the night, aware of Lisa and Theo huddled together on the small waiting area couch. She'd made one attempt to leave. "We can come back tomorrow," but Ray had waved her off. "No point in paying for a cab. I'm already here." Somewhere around midnight, he emerged from beneath the car to find Theo standing beside him, eyes wide with curiosity. "Is it hard to fix cars?" the boy asked, handing Ray a wrench before he even asked for it. Sometimes, Ray answered, surprised by the boy's perception. Depends on the car and the problem. My mom says you have to understand a problem before you can fix it, Theo said, crouching down to peer under the vehicle. She says rushing to fix things without understanding them makes everything worse. Ray glanced at the sleeping form of Lisa on the couch, then back at the boy. Your mom sounds smart. She is, Theo said simply. She's taking night classes to become an accountant. That's why we were out so late. I go to the library while she's in class. Ray nodded, feeling something shift inside him. A rusty door opening on long, unused hinges. Hand me that socket wrench, would you? For the next hour, Theo assisted, asking questions that revealed a sharp, analytical mind. Ray found himself explaining basic engine components, impressed by how quickly the boy grasped mechanical concepts. By 3 a.m., the repair was complete. Not just the timing belt, but 3 other issues Ray had discovered, any one of which could have left Lisa and Theo stranded in the coming weeks. He woke Lisa gently. It's ready. She blinked, disoriented, then immediately reached for her purse. How much do I owe you? Ray hesitated, seeing the worry lines reappear between her eyebrows. He thought of the rent money Theo had mentioned, of the night classes, of the too small coat. Nothing, he said. Consider it a Christmas gift. Lisa stared, disbelief warring with suspicion. I can't accept that. Parts alone would cost. I had what I needed in the shop. Ray lied smoothly. And your son here. He nodded toward Theo, who beamed. Was the best assistant I've had in years. Saved me time. But it's done, Ray said firmly. Car's running better than before. Should get you where you need to go for a good long while. Lisa's eyes filled with tears she clearly fought to contain. Why would you do this for strangers? Ray shrugged, uncomfortable with the naked gratitude in her expression. Christmas spirit, he said gruffly, though December 25th was still 3 weeks away. As they prepared to leave, Theo approached Ray once more. When I grow up, he said with the certainty only children possess, I'm going to fix things too. Ray smiled, ruffling the boy's hair. I believe you will. He watched them drive away, the Corolla's engine purring smoothly into the pre-dawn darkness, unaware that this small act of kindness had planted a seed that would bloom in ways he couldn't imagine. Life continued its complicated dance. Ray's shop survived the recession, barely. He developed a reputation for fair prices and honest work, which brought enough customers to keep the lights on, if not much more. The memory of Lisa and Theo faded to the edges of his consciousness, a warm moment in an otherwise solitary existence. 7 years passed before their paths crossed again. Ray was replacing a water pump when he heard the bell over the door jingle. Be with you in a minute, he called, not looking up. No rush, Mr. Donovan. Something in the voice made Ray straighten, bumping his head on the hood. A tall teenager stood in the entrance, lanky, with that particular awkwardness of boys caught between childhood and manhood. But the eyes, thoughtful, dark, intelligent, were immediately familiar. Theo, Ray said, disbelief coloring his voice. The boy, young man now, smiled, crossing the shop with confident strides. You remember? Of course I do. How's your mother? How's the Corolla? Mom's great. Got her accounting degree. The Corolla finally died last year, but it got us through 7 years without major problems. Mom says what you did that night changed everything. Ray felt warmth spread through his chest. Glad to hear it worked out. Theo glanced around the shop, which looked much the same as it had 7 years ago, perhaps a bit more worn. I've been looking for you for a while. We moved to Seattle for Mom's job, but I never forgot this place. Or what you taught me. I didn't teach you much in one night. Ray said, You taught me everything. Theo replied, his voice suddenly serious. About fixing things. About helping people who need it. Ray shifted, uncomfortable with the intensity in the young man's eyes. What brings you back to Portland? Gothenburg College. Mechanical engineering at PSU. Theo grinned. Turns out I really do like fixing things. And Ray. He hesitated. I was hoping you might need help around the shop. Part-time around classes. Ray stared, surprised by the request and the surge of emotion it triggered. You want to work here? There are bigger shops, better paying ones. But you're the best, Theo said simply. Everyone says so. Honest Ray, they call you. Ray snorted. Never heard that one. It's true, Theo insisted. And I want to learn from the best. That was how Theodora Mercer came to work at Donovan's Auto, starting with oil changes and tire rotations, quickly advancing to more complex repairs. Ray discovered that the boy's childhood aptitude had developed into genuine talent. His mind worked through mechanical problems with an intuitive understanding that couldn't be taught. Lisa visited occasionally, her professional appearance a stark contrast to the exhausted young mother Ray remembered. She brought homemade cookies and accounting advice that Ray grudgingly admitted saved him considerable money. "You gave us a chance when we needed it most," she told him once, while Theo worked on a carburetor rebuild across the shop. "You'll never know what that meant." Ray shrugged, embarrassed. "Just a car repair." Lisa shook her head. "It was dignity. It was someone believing we were worth helping." The years unfolded with a rhythm Ray had never expected in his life. Theo graduated, continued working at the shop while developing innovative diagnostic software on the side. Ray watched with a mixture of pride and amazement as the young man combined mechanical knowledge with emerging technologies, creating tools that simplified complex repairs. On a crisp autumn day, 10 years after their first meeting, Theo approached Ray with uncharacteristic nervousness. "I have a business proposition," he said, spreading diagrams and business plans across Ray's cluttered desk. "My diagnostic software is ready for market, but I don't want to just sell it. I want to build something bigger. A network of shops using advanced technology while maintaining the human touch. The integrity you've always stood for." Ray stared at the plans, understanding dawning slowly. "You want to expand? I want us to be partners," Theo said earnestly. "Donovan Mercer Auto Solutions. Your experience, my technology. We start with this shop, then grow." Ray ran a hand through his now graying hair. "Kid, I'm just a mechanic with a struggling shop." "No," Theo said firmly. "You're the man who taught me that fixing things is about more than the machine. It's about the people who depend on it. That's what I want to build on." The sensation in Ray's chest was unfamiliar, a fullness, an expansion. In Theo's eyes, he saw not just ambition, but something more profound. The reflection of a single act of kindness, multiplied and returned tenfold. "Why me?" Ray asked, his voice rough. "You could take this anywhere." Theo's answer was simple. "Because 17 years ago, you fixed more than just my mom's car." The transformation of Donovan's Auto into Donovan Mercer Auto Solutions became a case study in business schools across the Pacific Northwest. The combination of Ray's old-school integrity and Theo's technological innovation created something unique in the industry. Shops where advanced diagnostics coexisted with transparent pricing and community involvement. Their signature program, Keep Rolling, providing free essential repairs for single parents and low-income families, was Theo's idea, but it bore the unmistakable imprint of Ray's quiet compassion. At the grand opening of their 5th location, Ray stood uncomfortably in a clean button-down shirt, watching as Theo addressed the gathered crowd with easy confidence. "People ask about our origin story," Theo was saying. "They expect some elaborate business strategy or lucky investment." The audience laughed appreciatively. "But the truth is simpler and more profound," Theo continued, his gaze finding Ray's. "Our company was born 17 years ago on a cold December night when a mechanic chose kindness over profit. When he looked at a desperate single mom and her son and saw not an opportunity, but a responsibility." Lisa, standing beside Ray, squeezed his hand. She had become their CFO 3 years earlier, bringing order to the rapidly growing company's finances with the same quiet competence she brought to everything. Ray didn't know that the boy watching him work through the night would grow up to become his business partner, Theo said, emotion now evident in his voice. He didn't know that the single act of fixing a car for free would launch a business that now employs over 50 people. He couldn't have known any of that. Ray swallowed hard, remembering the boy handing him tools, asking questions with those serious eyes. He just knew someone needed help, and he could provide it. Theo finished. "Everything we build here starts with that principle. Thank you, Ray, for teaching me that the most important thing we can fix is each other's burdens." As applause filled the room, Ray felt the full circle of his life close and then open again to new possibilities. From a lonely mechanic working late nights in a failing shop to the co-founder of a growing company built on the foundation of that one small act. Lisa leaned close, her voice soft. "You know what Theo told me once? That night in your shop was the first time he'd ever seen someone help us without wanting anything in return. It changed how he saw the world." Ray nodded, unable to speak past the tightness in his throat. He thought of all the repairs he'd made over his lifetime, all the broken machines he'd restored to function. None had mattered as much as the night he'd fixed not just a car, but a family's path forward. And in doing so, unwittingly repaired the fractures in his own life. As the celebration continued around them, Ray watched Theo move through the crowd, confident, compassionate, carrying forward a legacy neither of them could have imagined on that cold December night when a desperate knock had come at his door. Sometimes the most important connections form in the moments we least expect them. When we choose kindness without calculation, when we fix what's broken simply because we can. And sometimes those connections return to us, transformed by time and gratitude, to fix what we never even knew needed repair in ourselves.